Good morning, traders. Manny Cabrera, co-founder of NBC Trading Academy, with today's pre-market forecast for Friday, the 13th, here, March the 13th. Let's quickly jump to our news items for the day. What do we have in our news for today? We have, oops, from this side here, just give me 1 minute. News items for the day, very simple. What do we got? 9 o'clock, we have prelim UOM, so that's going to happen shortly, not necessarily affecting us throughout the market day, but keep an eye on this one in case you're doing any pre-market trading. Let's go to our analysis, my friend. Historical days in Wall Street once again. Market is just an amazing downturn from the highs back in late February. It almost seems like it was last year when we had all this run, but essentially, remember guys, I spoke to you about the last hurrah in this market. We reached the bottom, practically the bottom of that we hit back. And remember, this is where we started to recover. A couple of days after Christmas was when we began, after a huge drop that began here in October. It took us 2 months to retrace all of this. Now the market continued to the upside and established the all-time highs. And I had told you about where we found ourselves. We talked about the 200 SMA. We talked about this level here. We talked about this 61% retracement here from the overall run. And then I said to you, after that, I actually do have the areas that I established. Remember, we're in a new contract now. But I said to you that here was the key. This here was the true bottom of this market at about 23.50, 23.55. Very close to it today. We have basically taken back from in about less than a month, we have taken back every single gain that we got back, obviously, the entire 2019. The interesting part is this day here, yesterday, became the largest drop in the Dow Jones Industrial since 1987. We did a class last Wednesday and talked about the history of crashes and the effect, the post-activity, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was the largest drop, so now we have a historical, this has been a historical couple of years on the stock market. So it shouldn't surprise us that somewhere along the line we have a historical largest drop. Market's trying to recover right now. I think the S&P is up about 126 points. Be careful, we still haven't hit the bottom yet, exactly the bottom. We're still a few points off. We don't know what's going to happen here. Again, be very careful. Right now we're still in split contracts. Some of the volume is happening on the March contract still, and some of the contracts are happening, activity is happening on the June contract. So keep your eyes open for that one. Let's dig a little deeper into our analysis. And as we can see here, here's our break. This is where we had found ourselves. We were kind of oscillating. I talked last week, the whole week, about how we were oscillating between these two areas here. We had a few trend lines here, which the market was respecting. Ultimately, the market breaks through those trend lines. And we talked about the money, the easy money, or not necessarily the easy money, but the direction of the market. It either had to break to the upside, continue to the upside, break to the downside. Well, we know which way the market turned. Here's our break. Here's our area. Here's our decisive break through this area. You notice how everything happened through this area here as we were anticipating. There's our huge drop, and here's where we find ourselves right now. Here's where we find ourselves. That's our low right now. Market trying to recover, has plenty of room to the upside. We'll see what happens today. Very difficult markets to trade, no doubt about it. You need to have your stops in, and you definitely need to have a plan. No plan, no money. I'm telling you, this is not a market for the faint of heart. There's our close from yesterday. There's a precipitous drop. There's a trend line created. Market breaks through. We have a FOBO here after we break down through this area here. Market clearly broke through it, attempted to continue. Here's where it finds itself. Remember, the volume doesn't look as high yesterday, as a matter of fact, because of the controls that were set in to stop the precipitous drops. So we did have some stop in the volume. So that's why we see what we see. But there it is. That's what we're looking for. What are we expecting? And the market wants to continue higher, obviously. This is the place to go, but it can retrace way back here before attempting to move higher. But you got to keep your eye open for that one. If it breaks through, it's going to come try to retest this price level here again. And if it breaks below there, we are in deep trouble once again. Again, this is not an economic or a financial-based crash. This is a combination of what happened between Russia, Saudi Arabia, and also the coronavirus. But what effects may this have And the economy, we're gonna start noticing this in the next couple of months as the economy unfolds and it starts to come clean up after the fact. So we'll be around to see what the story with that is. Let's look at our trade chart here. Same story here. What we're looking at here is a market that's continuing to the downside. There's just a look, it's our FOBO, and like I mentioned, next level up for this market, if it wants to continue, the next test will be this area right around this area here, and potentially break through and try to get to at least to the minimum low. This is going to be a very key level in the market to see if it's going to remain completely bearish, because we're in a bearish market, although we have this bounce here. Is this a true bounce of recovery, or are we just bouncing, take the market up so we can do some more downside? That's the key today. Be careful with this market. This is not a market for the faint of heart. We have about 30 points between our mid band and our outer band here. Actually, let's see, we are at for our time frames here, 52. Yeah, we're about 22 points between areas here. So just be very, very, very careful today. Have a great trading session and a great week.